Rock and roll bands have been trashing hotel rooms for as long as there's been rock and roll. But starting fires, punching fans, crushing cars, and breaking up on stage? That's a whole nother level of destruction. Nowadays, Kid Rock is better known for his political views than being the guy who dropped radio-friendly hits like Ba With Da Ba and All Summer Long.
I believe the goldenest of all golden ages is coming to America.
Yet he's always had a reputation for being something of a live wire when on tour. In 2006, rock and hip-hop group Booyah Tribe were allegedly involved in a punch-up with fans after they dared to ask them for autographs. A year later, he was involved in another scuffle, this time at a Waffle House of all places. In that same year, Kid Rock got into a fight with Tommy Lee at the MTV Video Music Awards. Rock isn't just a fighter either, he's also a diva. In 2025, he actually bailed from a concert because the crowd didn't do what he wanted of them. He was performing at a special birthday party held for Bon Jovi's David Bryan in Nashville, Tennessee. After he noticed that the audience wasn't clapping along with the music, he stopped and told them off, saying, "If you ain't gonna clap, we ain't gonna sing. That's how it's gonna work." Rock then showed the crowd exactly how he wanted them to clap along, but they just couldn't match the same level of enthusiasm that he wanted, so he swore at them and walked off. Aerosmith gave headaches to countless hotel managers over the years, and they often got hefty repair bills in return. This wasn't even a case of the band reacting in the heat of the moment after a night of rock and roll debauchery, as their sprees were planned far in advance. They used to pack a chainsaw with their equipment so they could cut through hotel furniture faster, and they'd bring along cords for the television sets that they'd throw out of the hotel windows.
You know, we were an army marching on.
One particularly explosive Aerosmith story was detailed in Martin Huxley's book Aerosmith, The Fall and the Rise of Rock's Greatest Band. In Lincoln, Nebraska, Steven Tyler and drummer Joey Kramer decided to entertain everyone by letting off a bunch of fireworks from Tyler's hotel room balcony. The event resulted in Tyler being arrested. According to Aerosmith's manager's comments in the documentary Walk This Way, all this bad behavior eventually got so bad that a rule had to be instituted. He explained, "If we didn't see a band member for 24 hours, we broke down the hotel room door to see if they were still alive." Jane's Addiction never seemed to get along for long. There have been more breakups than makeups in the band's history, and the more time they spend together on tour, the less likely they seem to be on the same page. They've also had two notable onstage fights over the years, albeit a few decades apart. Playing at Lollapalooza in 1991, singer Perry Farrell and guitarist Dave Navarro got into a scuffle during a live performance. Navarro later admitted that he didn't really know what the incident had been about. He told Vanity Fair, "We were kids and we were volatile. We had different forms of expression than we do now. I'm sure that some of those altercations were chemically induced in one way or another." Then, in 2024, history repeated itself when Farrell attacked Navarro during a concert. This proved to be the final straw for that tour. The band canceled all their remaining concerts and broke up once again, issuing an apology to the fans for what had happened. In 2025, Navarro told guitar player that Jane's Addiction wouldn't reunite again, even stating that their final show had been the worst of his career. Guns N' Roses fans know that it's pretty much a given that Axl Rose will turn up late to one of his shows. Sometimes he might not show up at all. On one infamous occasion, he allegedly failed to attend his own gig because he was too busy watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze.
Combat Conquest!
Answering a Q&A for Adelaide Now, Rose admitted that he isn't generally a punctual guy. In fact, he said he's never really stuck to his own schedule, which has apparently cost him millions of dollars over the course of his career. Yet Rose also insisted he's never been deliberately late to a concert for no reason. He said, "I can say I haven't been late because I was watching a sporting event or something equally as ridiculous. The reasons have all been in one way or another show-related or having to do with those involved with the show in some fashion. It's just my reality, and I try and work on it." At one point, Rose's poor timekeeping drove concert promoter Barry Fay to the very edge. According to reports, Fay would use scare tactics to persuade Rose to perform, and Metallica's Lars Ulrich has claimed that he once put a gun to Rose's head to get him on stage. Fay, of course, denied ever doing this. Widely known as the Bad Boys of Rock, Mötley Crüe's on-tour antics have become the stuff of legend. Many of their worst sprees are covered in the autobiography The Dirt, Confessions of the World's Most Notorious Rock Band, which was subsequently turned into a Netflix movie. From taking bets over who can go the longest without a shower to very nearly getting killed on several occasions, if you can imagine it, this band has probably done it. In The Dirt, Nikki Sixx recalled one story during their Switzerland stop on a European tour. He said, "Tommy Lee and Vince Neil bought flare guns and fired one in their room. A giant ball of fire shot out and ricocheted off the walls before setting Tommy's mattress on fire." According to Sixx, Lee and Neil were so impressed that they went to find their manager to show him, only to lock themselves out of the room. Apparently, though, they didn't get kicked out of the hotel until a separate incident occurred the next day, when they broke the elevator's glass windows. This wasn't the only time that Mötley Crüe desecrated a hotel bed either. Neil reportedly threw his bed out of a window in Germany. Luckily, no one got hurt, aside from a Mercedes-Benz that was parked on the street below. Entire books could be written about the Marilyn Manson stories that made the rounds over the years. Heck, if you watch his 2002 DVD, Guns, God, and Government World Tour, you can actually see some of them take place.
I think it's my job as an artist to be out there pushing people's buttons.
Obviously, Manson has trashed more than a few hotel rooms, but he and his entourage took this trope to a whole new level in 1998. According to the New York Post, Manson and his pals got rowdy in a dressing room before a show, tearing it apart and setting a t-shirt on fire. The blaze spread to the carpet and resulted in the fire department being called to put out the flames. They weren't done there, though. After the show wrapped, Manson and the others headed back to their hotel, where they proceeded to destroy 4 entire rooms. They burned carpets, put hair dye in the bathtubs and sinks, and made general nuisances of themselves to the cost of $25,000. Reportedly, Manson offered to pay for all the damages afterward. Noel and Liam Gallagher are the living embodiment of sibling rivalry. On their own, they're capable of some pretty volatile behavior. Put them together, though, and, well, let's just say the outcome will never be boring.
There's never an Oasis meeting. It's just an Noel Gallagher meeting.
That's not true either.
The Gallaghers have been at each other's throats since childhood, and their issues only flared up further as Oasis became one of the most successful British bands of all time. Unsurprisingly, then, the brothers have aired their dirty laundry in front of journalists and fans alike. Liam hit Noel with a tambourine before storming off stage in 1994, which saw Noel quit the band for a short period of time. On another occasion, Liam couldn't perform with Oasis because of issues with his voice, so he took the opportunity to mercilessly heckle his brother from the sidelines. In the middle of another tour, Noel quit the band again after Liam questioned the parentage of his child. Noel would return to Oasis once more before the band finally broke up in 2009. The drama didn't stop there, though, as the brothers continued to throw potshots at each other whenever they could, including on social media. Eventually, they mended fences and reunited Oasis in 2024. Let's face it, though, at this point, another bust-up is more of an inevitability than a possibility. On the surface, you probably wouldn't expect the Jesus and Mary chain to be difficult on tour. Yet, Jim Reed once told The Guardian that he's grateful smartphones weren't around to capture the numerous fights that took place between him and his brother William in the 90s. Recalling one of these occasions, he said, "One night when we were DJing, we ended up rolling around on the floor, fighting, looking up to people's horrified expressions." William also recalled the fateful night in 1998 when Jim arrived drunk for a performance. He said, "I kicked him off stage, tried to be the singer, but didn't know the words." William quit the Jesus and Mary chain that same evening. When the band tried to continue without them, their final show ended on a dramatic note. The promoter ran away with their money, and the group ended up fighting the cast of Riverdance at a bar. William and Jim would eventually reunite the Jesus and Mary chain in 2007. Luckily, they don't seem to be quite as hostile to each other anymore. There's no disputing Pete Doherty's talent as a musician, but you can't help but think that he might have been a lot bigger had he managed to curb some of his excessive behavior on tour.
There is quite heavy tragedy interlaced with it all, you know what I mean?
One time, for example, he confessed to burgling the apartment of his Libertines bandmate, Carl Barat. On another occasion, he was arrested after allegedly robbing a documentary filmmaker. The charges against him were subsequently dropped. And then there's the incident from 2009, which German fans won't soon forget. Performing at a music festival in Munich, Doherty went on stage and chanted a phrase that is linked to Nazi Germany. Obviously, this drew a strong negative reaction from the crowd. The organizers promptly removed Doherty from the stage. He didn't face any charges for his stunt, although he was unlikely to have gained any more German fans as a result. Jim Morrison wasn't just a singer, he was also a rock and roll icon, but his eccentricity and unpredictability turned him into a liability on tour, and his bandmates went through the ringer because of his headline-making behavior. In 1967, Morrison was arrested on stage for inciting a crowd and insulting a police officer. 2 years after that, he was arrested and charged for exposing himself on stage. During one show in 1970, an inebriated Morrison took to the stage and lost his way as he fumbled songs and struggled to stand up straight. At one point during Light My Fire, Morrison sat on the drum kit and failed to get up to sing his verse, so drummer John Densmore tapped the frontman with his foot to draw his attention. Morrison didn't take too kindly to this, picking up his mic stand and smashing it before walking off stage. After the show, the Doors decided that this would be their final performance together. Morrison died just a few months later.